What is going on? The catch. Fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope everyone out there is having a great week. You guys know what we're getting into tonight, man. Week 6 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Week 6 of the NFL season, which means we are heading into week 6 of the 2023 fantasy football season. And boy, oh boy, it's madness. It's just pure madness right now in the fantasy world. So, anything that you guys need, starts, sits, trades, how did the waiver wire go for you? How are the current injuries and the landscape of the injuries in the fantasy football realm treating you? How are they affecting you? Anything that you guys need, we're going to get into tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. So, do the YouTube stuff, hit the like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, but get in the live chat. Let me know what you guys need. Anything pertaining to the 2023 fantasy football season, I am here to help you guys to the best of my abilities. So, obviously, hit with some tough injuries this past weekend. We got Justin Jefferson heading to the IR, which I mean, we're all aware of this at this point. This is not news to anyone, but this is not good news because while he's expected to miss at least 4 weeks, it could be much longer than that. And then JJ's in this situation where him and the Vikings didn't agree on a contract last offseason. And if the Vikings are continuing to lose football games, and what is the incentive for Justin Jefferson to come back early? And as we've seen, like with Cooper Kupp, right? I mean, hamstring injuries can linger. They're easy to re-aggravate. So this is just kind of a murky situation. But I mean, from a fantasy perspective, JJ, the 1.1 and like 99% of leagues this year. I mean, maybe you went like Chase or C-Mac, maybe Bijan, but yeah, like 99% of leagues, JJ was a 1.1. So obviously a big smack to the face for the fantasy community, but JJ headed to the IR for at least 4 weeks. We'll see what happens there. But Devon A. Shane also going to the IR. So, I mean, once again, another situation where he's going to miss at least 4 games, but it could be longer. And, A. Shane, a player that I was infatuated with in the offseason, that especially in Dynasty, I really encourage you guys to go after, and was finally looking great after a slow start to the season and some injuries to start the season as well. And I mean, that just looked like a perfect fit in this offense. I mean, was on a record-setting pace for a rookie running back in so many different aspects, but he's headed to the IR, is going to miss some time as well. So those two are the big ones. Travis Kelce is expected to play this week against the Broncos. A little bit of an injury last week against the Vikings, but played through it, showed some grit, scored a touchdown. He's Kelce. It is what it is. Miles Sanders not practicing today. Deshaun Watson is still not practicing. And PJ Walker is expected to start if Watson is out. Amon-Ra St. Brown will practice today. And Jahmyr Gibbs is expected day to day. So the Jahmyr Gibbs situation is very odd as well. I don't think we were really expecting that. And going back to players going to IR, we also have Anthony Richardson heading to IR as well. Miss at least the next 4 games. And just another bummer. So it's Gardner Minshew season, baby. Let's go. And Austin Eckler says that there's a 99% chance he will play this week, Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. So let's cross our fingers. We at least get Austin Eckler back in the mix in the fantasy community. Outside of that, we also have James Conner going to IR. He's going to miss at least 4 games. So it's been a mess. I mean, this was a bad weekend for injuries, undoubtedly, right? I guess some good news if you are a Deontay Johnson owner, he is expected to come back after week 7 was a report I read. So he's been on IR. So, I mean, that's good. But yeah, that's about all I got in terms of good news. Other than that, I don't think there's anything I missed. Van Jefferson got traded to the Falcons, but other than that, yeah, tough week for injuries. So let me know how they are affecting you guys and what I can do to help you guys, of course. And other than that, let's get into some fantasy Q&A. Thank you guys for being here tonight, and let's do it, guys. J-Dubs, good to see you, bro. What's up? What's up? Walker Tears, what's going on, man? Hello. Yeah, RIP to JJ owners. Tough world we're in. Nico or Godwin? This is a good question because I think Godwin's actually a pretty decent start this week. On bye week last week, but the Lions 20th against the position. I feel like this Bucks Lions game could be a good one. So I don't mind Godwin this week, but Nico Collins, a player that a much tougher matchup. I mean, I don't think that we really want to underestimate this Saints defensive unit whatsoever. And we've been kind of fans of them here at the Question, or at least like wary of them as a defensive unit. Uh, Man, I mean, I get they were playing Mac Jones and company last week, but man, I don't know. They look like a great unit, and they are good against both the pass and the rush. So, Nico is going to be one of these players similar to Tank Dell when he's healthy on the same offense that like, yeah, you can throw him in your flex at any time, and you might get 6 points like last week, or you might get 35 points like the week before. You might get 5 points like week 3 or 27 like week 2. So I don't love him in this matchup. I do feel like the Lions Bucks game will be a little bit maybe potentially higher scoring, but I still think both these guys are good starts. Like I think Godwin is the floor play a little bit safer. I think Nico gives you a little bit more upside, but there's more risk involved. Do I start Adam Thielen or Amari Cooper in half PPR? And also, do I roll out Folk or Aubrey or Moody? I mean, all those kickers are great. I think Nick Folk was Steven's number one must-start kicker for the week, so I'll say Nick Folk. But Aubrey was next up on the list, and I know he loves Moody as well. But I'll go Nick Folk. I really like him. I think he's a kicker 4 on the season so far, but they're all great options. Thielen or Amari Cooper is interesting, and I think we're in a situation where Amari Cooper's ceiling is going to be a little bit lower as long as Watson's not out there. So, like, that could be the determining factor for you. But I think we're also in a situation where Adam Thielen becomes a must start. I mean, like, are we really able to sit Adam Thielen right now? I mean, I think he's the wide receiver 9 in fantasy. It depends on scoring, but somewhere between the wide receiver 9 and 11. So, after that, bad week 1 against Atlanta, he's had 15 or more fantasy points in every game and 20 or more fantasy points in 3 of those 4 games, ceiling of 31.5 points. And it hasn't really mattered if Bryce Young's throwing him the football or Andy Dalton's throwing him the football. So I think you have to go Thielen here. That's going to be my answer. JJ went down. Should I trade Brian Robinson for Downs or Metcalf? If you're going to trade for one of these guys, it's Metcalf. I mean, Brian Robinson bust last week. Huge disappointment against the Bears, but he still has had a good season, and Metcalf is the better wide receiver between the two. I do like Josh Downs, but I'd rather have Metcalf. So Nico or Addison? I mean, if Addison is good to go, because I mean, there are reports around Addison right now that he is dealing with an injury, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this is a great matchup against Chicago. Addison's going to see increased volume, of course. So I do like Addison based on matchup. Philip, what's up, man? I have Etienne, Swift, Pacheco, and Stevenson. I mean, kind of in a good boat, other than Stevenson being very, very disappointing. But let me know if there's a follow-up question to this one, Philip. But I mean, if anything, I'm sitting Stevenson out of this mix. DeAndre Swift season, what's up? Got offered my Swift and Cook for AJ Brown today. You are not allowed. You're not allowed to trade Swift. Hey, should I start Osborne or DeMarcado? Yeah, the DeMarcado situation is kind of interesting because now you have, the reports about the depth chart and everything for the Cardinals, and it's like people are freaking out, like, oh my gosh, why did I spend, on my top waiver on DeMarcado when Keontae Ingram's listed as the RB1, and I this is gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. And Ingram was taking like first team reps before he got hurt, had the neck injury early in the offseason, preseason, whatever it was. But, I mean, just for context, like wasn't Bijan Robinson listed as like the RB3 on the Falcons depth chart? Like it's just a depth chart. It doesn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's merit to it, but at the same time, it's not always the end all be all. And I mean, I would say based on the eye test last week, DeMarcado passed, right? So, I mean, yeah, like this is not a beautiful matchup on paper here. Let's see. The Rams against the running back position, coming as the 12th best unit. So like they're top 12, you know. On the other hand, you have one of the pass heaviest teams in the Minnesota Vikings. Granted, they're without Justin Jefferson, of course, going up against the Chicago Bears, who are a bottom 12 unit against the wide receiver position. So I'd probably start KJ Osborne here. Craig traded Waddle, Kirk, and Ingram for Kelsey and Judy. Did I ever pay for a Kelsey Mahomes stack? I mean, you paid a pretty premium price here. But man, when you're getting a player like Travis Kelsey, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, it's like, is there really such thing as overpaying? I don't really think so. So, I mean, yeah, you gave up 3 really good players. Judy is just like meaningless to me, honestly, but he maybe fills the void of losing 2 wide receivers to some degree. He's at least an option. But yeah, I mean, it's a high price, but you have to pay a high price to get a player like Kelsey, right? Do you trade JJ and redraft? I got offered Ridley. No, I don't want to overreact to the JJ situation. I wouldn't trade him straight up for a player like Ridley. I mean, it's kind of like similar to the Jamar Chase situation last year, where everyone's just like, yeah, Jamar Chase is like scraps now. Trade him while you can situation. I think you have a player that caliber, unless you get a deal that just lights out, you hold on to him. I mean, unless you're in a position where like you've only won 1 game or you haven't won any games this year, you're just like desperate, maybe like two wins, and you're really, really weak at wide receiver. Maybe, that's where you just have to use that to your advantage. But ultimately, I think I'm still holding on to JJ. But it is an interesting situation that it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Craig, flex Swift, Cooper, Flowers, or Addison. I will go Swift. I really like DeAndre Swift a lot this week. It's a beautiful matchup for him. I mean, I like DeAndre Swift every week, but yeah. The Jets have really struggled against the run, 23rd in the league against the running back position from a fantasy perspective. So I do like Addison. I don't mind Flowers or Cooper, but I'm going to say Swift here. All right, Philip, here we go. Have ETN, Swift, Pacheco, and Stevenson, Adams, Brown, and Garrett, Kelsey, and Laporta. Who should I package and for who? I mean, you're sitting on 2 really, really, really good tight ends. I mean, like, there are teams who will be willing to trade. I mean, either tight end 1 and the tight end 4. So, I mean, honestly, even with Laporta being the tight end 1 right now, you can probably sell Kelsey for higher. And I usually don't recommend selling a player like Kelsey, but I mean, this might be a situation where you can really use that to your advantage. And even if you just sell Laporta, I mean, you can sell one or the other. I mean, if this is a regular redraft league, like, it's nice to have 2 top 4 tight ends, but is it necessary? Not necessarily. I think you have to hold on to the wide receivers that you have, and you can definitely move on from Stevenson, but having 3 reliable running backs, 3 reliable wide receivers is probably pretty important here. So, I don't know. Like, Stevenson's just kind of like the icing on the cake, but you can probably upgrade. I mean, I think you're fine at running back, quite frankly. I would look for more help at wide receiver, but I usually kind of bias towards the wide receiver position. So yeah, I mean, like, if you can package like Laporta and Stevenson to a team that is really struggling at tight end or maybe needs running back help, I mean, that's huge. If you can sell Kelsey and Stevenson, you just don't undersell yourself. I mean, you have 2 top 4 tight ends, but that's where I would look to make a change personally. I would hold on to the wide receivers that you have, though. Calvo, what's good, man? Godwin or Addison? I mean, I think Addison has a lot more upside, probably more risk, and Godwin's more of a floor play. So kind of whatever you're looking for. Both have pretty decent matchups, though. Obviously, Addison has the better matchup, but if you want to go for kind of a safer play, I think Godwin's fine. Michael, let's see here. Pittman, Flowers, or D-Hop? Yeah, D-Hop had a really good game last week. Let's take a look at matchups here, though. But yeah, I mean, D-Hop went off against the Colts. The Jaguars have been pretty weak against the wide receiver position, so I don't mind. I mean, I think Pittman is a player you can start every week at this point in full PPR. Like, whether it's Richardson or Minshew out there, I don't think it's going to make a world of difference. But you know, Zay Flowers, a lot of opportunity last week. Didn't come up with the biggest stat line though, so I worry about him because he's got another good matchup this week, but he didn't do much with that good matchup last week. So, and it's a London game. I don't know. I mean, you can start him. Then once again, D Hop is in a London game. D Hop's going to be fine. Like, you can always start him. 11 targets last week was promising. It's a tough matchup. The Ravens, the 9th best team in the league, against the wide receiver position from a fantasy perspective. So maybe I go Pittman here. Call me crazy, but something about these London games, I just makes me. It's kind of like Thursday night football. I just don't love it. Keontae Ingram or Amari DeMarcado. I go DeMarcado, but I don't really want to start either of them this week unless I am in pure desperation mode, because we do want to see how the split works out if Ingram does play. Tristan, starting Mixon, Swift, Chase, DJ Moore, need to flex one. Waddle, Collins, Henry. Wow. We're at that point where we're considering sitting Henry. I mean, it's a tough matchup for Henry. I'd probably go Waddle. Yeah, I mean, Waddle, I think we have to continue to start Waddle, but this is just such a good matchup this week for Waddle. And I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I just think this Dolphins team on a regular basis, we have to have him in our lineup. So I'd probably go Waddle. I mean, it'd probably be Henry if the matchup didn't suck. If you want to go Henry, like, I think that's fine. Like, I mean, maybe the Ravens get, have jet lag and their defense doesn't really show up. But I think you go Waddle. And I mean, I get that the production hasn't been great for Waddle, but it hasn't really needed to be there. I think Waddle's going to come on, and getting the end zone last week was promising. Is Kittle a must start? I mean, if you own George Kittle, like, you just start him every week. You either are going to have a game like last week, or you're going to get like 4 points. It's just like, it just is what it is. You drafted Kittle, you spent like 5th round draft capital on him. You have to start him. Jeezy, what's up? Is Addison for Cook fair? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I like James Cook quite a bit. He's coming off a bad game. It's a really good time to go try and buy James Cook low. So I think that's fair. James Cook or Goddard. What's up, Caleb? I probably go Cook this week because the matchup's really, really good. I know Goddard's coming off a good game. Goddard, another guy similar to Kittle. Like, if you own him, you start him. But in a flex type situation here, I'm going Cook this week. This matchup is great for him. I mean, we're at a point now, like, if we're playing the Giants, like, we're starting the players who are going up against the Giants. So should I flex Osborne or DeMarcado? I'd rather start Osborne personally, Emmanuel. Albert was good. As for Cook is okay. I feel like you could get more. I mean, yeah, like, that is the thing. If you're selling Cook, don't undersell yourself. But if you're in a position to buy Cook low, then do it. Who should I start at flex? Henry or Moore? Fletcher Cox. Is that you? Eagles defensive lineman. I mean, I don't really want to flex either of these guys. I mean, maybe Rondell Moore. I don't know if I trust any Patriots player ever again. I mean, Rondell Moore had that long run. If he didn't do that, he would have had another bad stat line, but it's not a great matchup. It's not the worst matchup against the Rams. I just don't. I mean, obviously, you don't like either of the. Or actually, no, I take that back. The Rams are actually 5th best against the wide receiver position. It's a bad matchup for him. And on the other side, when it comes, let's see here. Yeah, okay. So the Raiders are 18th against the tight end position. I mean, I guess Hunter Henry, but obviously, I don't like either player here, and I'm sure you don't either. But I guess Henry. Jordan Love or Josh Dobbs? I'm sticking with Jordan Love. I still believe in him, but I mean, Josh Dobbs is probably okay. But I think Love gives you a higher ceiling at the end of the day. Start one, Henry or Breece Hall. Yeah. Nice to see Breece Hall kind of get back in action last week. I the Eagles, the best team in the league against opposing running backs. And then Henry, on the other hand, facing the Ravens, top 10 unit at 10th overall. So, I mean, I guess I go Henry. I know Breece Hall's coming off a huge game, but that was the Denver Broncos defense. They are the worst team in the league against opposing running backs. I'll go Henry. Jordan Addison or Amon-Ra. If Amon-Ra starting, Amon-Ra for sure. Hey, Cats. Every time Gabe Davis scores touchdown, I think about you, bro. I swear. I'm like, man, remember in like July when Cats was begging us to draft Gabe Davis? Appreciate that, Craig. Hit that like button, guys. Let's see. I traded away DJ Moore for Hawkinson, and I still have Amon-Ra, Higgins, Lock, and Addison. Who should I start at wide receiver? Well, I mean, Amon-Ra might not play, might play. Higgins might play, might not play. So you might have some, it might get your answer there. But yeah, it's tough. I probably, it's very close, actually. I mean, let's go to matchup here. I mean, if you have Amon-Ra healthy, you have to start Amon-Ra. There's no doubt he's in your lineup. But the biggest thing there is the actual question mark, right? When it comes to Lockett, I mean, kind of right in the middle, the Bengals are 16th against the position, and then Addison has a great matchup. So, and then Higgins is like just a tough sit as well. And Seattle is 19th. So, like, you're probably going to have whoever you sit definitely has the potential to outscore whoever you start. I might. Oh, this is so tough. I'm kind of sad he traded away DJ Moore, though. I mean, I guess Hawkins is going to see increased volume. I think you'll get an answer through injuries. And I think whoever is on the injury report the longest this week is who you sit between Amon-Ra, Higgins, and Addison, because they're all on the injury report at the moment. That's really tough, though. Because, like, I was going to say Addison, I guess, but we know he's going to see increased volume, and he's playing the Bears. I mean, the Bears looked okay against wide receivers last week, but I think that was probably not the norm. Tough, David. Tough. Who do you prefer, Nico Collins or Pittman? This week, Pittman, but they're both fine. Mostert or Mixon? I go Mostert. Great matchup for Mostert. No Devon Achane. Mostert should be in your lineups, guys. Orac, full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, flex, and a tight end. Chase, Allen, Ridley, Thielen, Laporta, Ingram, Henry, and White. K9. You're definitely starting Chase and Allen. You're definitely flexing Ridley. I mean, Thielen is really close, though, but I think you still go Chase, Allen, Ridley. You have to start Laporta. You just do. He's a tight end 1. 2 running backs. Yeah, some tough matchups. I mean, Kenneth Walker is a must start. Kenneth Walker is in your lineup every week at this point. And I'd probably go Henry. It's a tougher matchup for White. So I'll go Henry. But yeah, so I'll sit Thielen, Ingram, and Rachaad White. Hey, Prey, Thielen and Hopkins for Jay Jettis. Yes, I would do that trade for JJ if you're okay at wide receiver. So I trade Henry for Olave. Really have no room for Henry. I need wide receivers. Sure. Running backs are Jacobs, JT, White, Hall, Ford, Henry. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Can you rank them? I don't need to pick up Hill, Hubbard, or Deontay. I might go Chuba because Miles Sanders looks like any week he could just stay on the injury report for good. I mean, like he's on and off the injury report every week. So we're going to go Chuba, Hill, then Foreman. I really don't like the Ravens backfield at all. But I also feel like even if Deontay Foreman ends up being the starter this week for the Bears, it's going to be like as soon as Roschon Johnson's back, he's going to get more touches. And even then, it could be a committee, but like I think you're looking at a couple committees here with guys who have potential to be handcuffs. I go Chuba, Hill, then Deontay. Do I start Brees Hall or JT or Cook? I'll go Cook. It's a great matchup for James Cook. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the week for JT. Like I told you guys, I really warned you guys last week not to start Jonathan Taylor. So there's one call that I made correctly. But to be fair, like if you own Zach Moss, I mean, I did say multiple times last week, I think Zach Moss is still going to get touches today. I didn't think Zach Moss would have been lighting it up against one of the best run defenses in the league, though. I mean, like, what in the world did we watch last week out of Zach Moss? Anyways, it's a tough matchup this week once again for the Indianapolis Colts. Running backs, Jags are 5th against the position, top 5 against running backs in fantasy. But Cook has such a good matchup. I think you just roll with Cook. And if JT has a big week, then that's still good. Like, you know that it's there and you can start it moving forward. But I think you don't pass up this matchup for James Cook. Start Goff or T-Law. I mean, I'd still think T-Law is a player you can start every single week. The ceiling just hasn't been there. But, you know, I will say this matchup for Goff this week, I don't think is going to be like what we saw last week. But, I mean, you know, props to you guys if you did start Goff last week. But, you know, T-Law gets the Colts 16th against the quarterback position. Not awful, not bad. Goff has a really tough matchup on the road against the Bucs. They're the second best team against the quarterback position in fantasy. So, and they are good against the run. I'm a little bit worried about the Lions this week, but I'll go T-Law, but you can still start Goff, but I'll go T-Law. Appreciate that, Special K. DJ or Olave for Swift, or is that too much? I don't think it's too much. I mean, like, at some point, you know, we just have to understand that DeAndre Swift is a very productive player in fantasy football. He's a top 10 running back. So, I mean, obviously, I've been on the DeAndre. I started the DeAndre Swift train, I think, in like June. But no, I don't think it's too much. I would hold DJ, and I don't mind holding Olave either. I'm not like sneezing out Olave just because he's had 2 down games. Has been dealing with the ankle injury. I don't think enough people are talking about, but I don't think it's too much. You're trading for a top 9 running back, so yeah. So trade Higgins, Waddle, and Godwin for Cup? No, I mean it's just a little bit too much. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, Cup is back. Cup like didn't look like he was ever injured, but. I mean, trading 3 player. I mean, maybe like who else do you have at wide receiver? It's a big impact to your roster, maybe, but probably not. Flex Osborne or DeBicardo. What's up, Manuel? Osborne for me. Good matchup. Pass heavy team. Give me Osborne. Which Miami running back do we pick off waivers? Wilson or Chris Brooks? I'm gonna go with Jeff Wilson for now. We'll see if anyone else emerges. What's up, Chelsea? Good to see you, bro. Super CMB, what's up? Got offered Bijan, Jones, and DK for Diggs and CD. Depends on the rest of your wide receivers, but I would consider it. I mean, as much as I like Diggs, and I still think CD can be productive this year, but like, I don't understand the Cowboys. I just don't. I mean, CD's top 22. He was giving you double digits every week until last week. He should bounce back against a weak Charger secondary this week. I mean, I still like CD. It's just like, where's the ceiling? What is this like? What is this offensive game plan by the Cowboys on a weekly basis? I don't know. I mean, what makes sense for my team? I have Jamar, Flowers, and JJ, with really only Gibbs at running back. I mean, it's a decent enough trade with CD's ceiling being lowered. And like the big thing for me is you're getting Bijan. Aaron Jones is hopefully somebody who's not going to be hurt all year, but Aaron Jones fine. What happened? I mean, what about that AJ Dillon game last week? Anyways, I think the trade's okay, but you're still giving up a lot of wide receiver value. And if you see Diggs and CD finish as top 5 guys this year, just you have to live with the fact that you traded them. You know, still very high caliber players, even with CD playing at a lower ceiling lately. Trade Zach Moss for Brees. I mean, the verdict's still out on Zach Moss. I don't know. I don't know if you won. And you know, Brees, I think, unfortunately, is going to be a player that we have to exploit against bad run defenses. I mean, just have to remember he played the Denver Broncos last year. They're on like a historically bad pace against opposing running backs. He's not going to have the same game this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I did not expect JT to get a crazy amount of touches last week. And I told you guys I thought that Zach Moss was going to be involved. It was a bad matchup, but I mean, Zach Moss, like, looked like he was running against shredded cheese out there. I don't know, man. It's a fair trade, I think, in essence. And if JT starts to take over that volume, then you probably did. But the verdict's still out, I think we have to say. Start 2 of 5. What's up, Filoni? Madison, Javonte, Palmer, Roshan, Gabe. If it's Gabe Davis, you're starting him. Then Madison. I mean, Madison, a good matchup this week. He's been decent enough. I go with those two guys. Palmer's interesting, but I go Gabe Davis and Madison. Atlanta defense, New England, Houston, or the Rams. I will go New Orleans. No, I'm sorry. I'll go Houston, or the LA Rams. I think those are your two best shots there. Olave, Cooper, Addison. I probably stick with Olave. If he gives us pain one more week, then we can change it. If you feel like there's too much pain involved here, you can go Addison. But Cooper's going to depend on if Watson plays or not for me. So I'll stick with Olave. Tommy, what's up? Thoughts on Amari and Ingram situation? Ingram was limited participant today. Yeah, I mean, I just think like you don't really want to start either of these guys. You just want to kind of sit back and see how this unfolds. But I think Amari DeMarcado, I have a good feeling about him just based on how he performed last week. But Ingram is still going to be part of the mix. And like, regardless of if whoever's listed above the other on the depth chart, like, when it comes to the running back position, they want to have two healthy players. So like, they're going to get Ingram, to the point where he can contribute as well. Especially because it's a very vulnerable position, right? And players get hurt very frequently. So I'm not freaking, like, if you only have DeMarcado, like, I'm not going to freak out about it. If you were able to go pick up Ingram, then that's fine. But once again, I think like we could be looking at a backfield, by committee, or we could be looking at a guy who really emerges as the RB1 while Connor's out. So I like DeMarcado more, but that's based on last week, and we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm not going to freak out about the depth chart part of it. Was able to get DeMarcado and Osborne off waivers. Nice. Two big pickups for you, Tommy. Andrea, hello. Say Flyers drop some key balls unless the stat line would have been crazy. Oh, I know. I mean, he had the opportunity. He had 11 targets, and there's a one where he like slipped, but even then it was like kind of, you're still like underwhelmed just based on the rest of the performance. But yeah, it was tough. Pick 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a flex. Hall, JT, White, Ford, Jacobs, Chase, Garrett Wilson, Olave, T, JSN, Godwin. Okay, 2 wide receivers. You have to start Jamar Chase. Then Garrett Wilson or Olave. Call me crazy, but I'll go Garrett Wilson. It's just the Eagles secondary is awful. I mean, they're the second worst team in the league against opposing wide receivers. I'll go Chase and Garrett Wilson. This is tough at running back, but start Jacobs. I don't know if I like Jerome Ford in this matchup against the Niners. I don't like Hall's matchup. I don't like JT's matchup. Ooh. I'll say JT in this situation because he gives you upside. Bad matchup for Ford. We don't know who's playing quarterback. Bad matchup for Rachaad White. I think you go Rachaad White or JT though, because at least the Bucs are at home, but the Lions 5th against the running back position. So I'll say Jacobs, JT or White, whoever you feel better about. Chase and Garrett Wilson, and I'll flex Chris Olave. Pacheco or Mostert. This is a good problem to have because both these guys are going to have monster weeks, Andrea. Whoever you feel better about. They're both going against bottom 5 units. So whoever you feel better about. Jeff, pick 3 wide receivers, half PPR, Osborne, Flowers, Addison, Ridley, leaning towards Addison, Ridley, and KJ. I think that's fine. I think that's fine based off last week's performance. I mean, I still think Flowers is fine. It's a good matchup. With the London factor last week, maybe you just go Osborne, Addison, Ridley. But if you want to, not be overexposed to the Minnesota Vikings, then you could take one out of the equation for Flowers. This is interesting. Gus Edwards or Spears? Yeah, Gus Edwards. I mean, the fantasy stat line was not great, but he was okay on the ground. But I expected him to have a much bigger game. So I don't mind Gus Edwards. It's a tough matchup. Justice Hill's getting involved. It's a tough matchup for Spears as well. I might go Spears. I feel like there's more upside there. I mean, both have bad matchups. Same game here, but I think I'll go Spears. But whoever finds the end zone is going to probably have a better day. Pick 2 to flex, McLaughlin, DeMarcado, Spears, Osborne. I'd probably just go Osborne here. Going to see a big uptick in volume, plays the Bears. So I want JT. Who could I trade for? Lamar, Eckler, Kyron Brown, Jacoby Laporta, Cook. I mean, yeah, you just have to look at the team that has JT, and you have to kind of look at who on your team are you willing to give up that they need the most. I mean, you're probably going to give up a guy like Brian Robinson and then package him with another player, whether it's Lockett or, Dell's not coming off a good game. Curtis Samuel is probably not in that caliber, even though he's had 18 or more points in the last 2 games. But, I think like Brian Robinson and Lockett will get it done. Would you start Ridley or Collins? I'd start Ridley this week. Great matchup for him. Pacheco for Mixon in London. I'd rather hold Pacheco, frankly. Jeff, RB's happy PPR 1 through 4. Spears, Ingram, Madison, Pierce. Yeah, I would start Madison and Pierce because they'll get the best volume here. If you're going to swap anyone, it's Pierce for Spears, but I'd probably just go Madison and Pierce. 2 for 3 trade, JJ Dobbs for DK, Terry Gibbs, and Warren. Oh, wow. DK, Terry Gibbs, and Warren. It depends on the rest of the roster. I still don't want to overreact to the Justin Jefferson. I don't know if there's a lot of people out there saying that you need to trade Justin Jefferson. I don't overreact to situations like this personally. Last year with the Chase, it's a different situation, but I really encourage you guys to, buy Jamar Chase at the right price if you could. But other than that, hold him. I don't want to just give up JJ for scraps. And it's a pretty decent trade. But Royer, it just depends on the rest of your roster. Pending trade and redraft league 2, traded JJ for Thielen and D-Hop. Okay, cool. I will get that approved. Would you trade DJ Moore for Monty? I think it's a pretty fair trade. If you need the running back, then sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say Cook has been terrible. He just had a bad week last week against a top 5 unit. But if you look at it outside of Cook, or outside of last week, he's had 10 or more fantasy points every game. So, as long as we're not talking about Dalvin Cook, if it's Dalvin Cook, no. But if you're talking about James Cook, yeah, it's a great matchup. He had a down game. It happens. What's going on, man? RB2 help Javonte Williams or Spears? I'll probably go Spears. Do I still roll with Waller or put Higbee? Probably Waller, but it's just the tight end position. What are we going to do, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. Waller has a tough matchup. The Bills are 3rd against the position. So if you want to take that into consideration, then, that's something. But the Cardinals are 7th against position for Higbee. So Higbee's going to be seeing less volume, I would predict, with Kupp back on the field and Puka still there. Whoever you feel better about, but I don't think either going to have great games based on their matchups this week. So, Waller had an okay game last week. If Daniel Jones doesn't play, then I guess I go Higbee. Daniel Jones, I don't blame him if he doesn't play, but especially in this matchup against the Bills, but we'll see what happens with the neck injury. Yeah, JT's workload will continue to pick up for sure. For sure. Should I trade ETN for Smith and Nico? I have Saquon, Bijan, and Brees. If you need help at wide receiver, that's fine. But I still like Travis Etienne a lot. But I think Devonta Smith is a good player to go get right now while he's kind of having this lower production period. He's still a guy you can throw in your flex every week, as is Nico Collins. So, I mean, if you're content with those 3 running backs, I think the trade is just fine. But ETN, don't be surprised. I mean, he's going to have a good season. Trademark Andrews or keep. I have Laporte on the bench. I mean, I think if you guys are in a situation where you're able to pick up Laporta off waivers or draft him as a second tight end and you have a really high caliber tight end, I mean, we even looked at it earlier with a team that had Kelsey and Laporta. It's like, I mean, if you're struggling at other positions, use that to your advantage. I mean, Laporta is a tight end 1. He's probably, as long as he stays healthy, going to finish as a top 5 tight end. So use that name values of guys like Andrews and Kelsey, who I still think, I mean, even if you have to do the opposite where you trade Laporta and you keep Andrews or Kelsey, like I think that's fine too, but probably going to get better just based off name value, better value for guys like Andrews and Kelsey. What's up, Chase? Good to see you, bro. For RB2, trying to decide between McLaughlin or pivoting to Roschon and Foreman. I mean, if McLaughlin is the starter and Javonte doesn't play, then I do like McLaughlin this week. It's a pretty good matchup for him. So, but let's see here. Looks like Javonte is going to be good to go. So he's off the injury report. He's playing. So I'll go Roschon Johnson if he does play. If he doesn't, then I guess you're forced to go Foreman. I mean, the Vikings, while their secondary has been really weak, they've been decent against the run. So keep that in mind. They're not like a god-awful run defense, but, I think the Bears will keep this game competitive. So, yeah, I mean, I just think you could go McLaughlin, but I just think it's too risky. Thursday Night Football, the Chiefs have been a good unit against the run in the past for that matter, but I just don't feel good about McLaughlin. So I trade Higgins and JT for Allen. I think I'd hold on to JT because they're selling him so low right now, I mean, I'd love to have Keenan Allen right now, but you're just selling JT based off name value and nothing else at the moment. You know what I mean? Andrew, have a good night. Thank you for joining. Oh, Tommy needed 2. My bad. Osborne, McLaughlin, Spears, DeMarcardo. Quite frankly, I'd probably go Osborne and Spears because we know what to expect out of them. Like I said, once again, I don't really love McLaughlin right now with Javonte coming back, short week. What are we going to get? Like maybe Javonte gets like 0 touches because he's coming back. I don't know. Maybe it all goes to McLaughlin, but the Chiefs defense, nothing to sneeze at. It's at Arrowhead. I'm a little bit wary of McLaughlin and Javonte for that matter, but I'll go Osborne and Spears. Amy, thoughts on Lions defense? I like them this week, but I don't think they have a crazy high ceiling. I mean, they're on the road. The Bucs have still been a competent enough offense. They're fine, but I don't see a super high ceiling for them. Would you trade Ramondre for Gibbs? Sure. I mean, like both these guys have been incredibly disappointing, but like at least Gibbs has handcuff value, if something happens to Monty. To a degree, like because last time Monty didn't play, Gibbs hardly did anything. But I have lost faith in the New England Patriots this year. I talked about it last week. I probably didn't talk about it enough, but I was really bringing up the fact that I thought that their defense was going to play really poorly against the Saints. If you kind of looked at what had been building up going into this game, the injuries that they suffered between Gonzalez and Judon, and I didn't expect it to be a blowout, but man, I just that's kind of the staple of these Patriots teams is like even if it's not always there on offense, they have that defense to kind of keep them competitive, and I don't know if we're going to have that this year. So I mean, yeah, you can swap these guys. Doesn't make a huge difference to your team probably, but I guess I'd rather have Gibbs because at least he's part of the better team and the better offense. I mean, quite frankly, the Patriots might be the worst team in the entire NFL right now. Am I overvaluing Monty by trying to trade Amon-Ra for him? No. I mean, I think most of us would probably. It just depends. Like, do you need the wide receiver and do you need the running back? But no, I think it's pretty fair. I mean, Amon-Ra's missed a game. He's a wide receiver 23, but he has 14 or more fantasy points in each game this year. Monty's a running back 6. He's got 2 tough matchups. Monty owners, don't be super scared, but he's got Tampa Bay and Baltimore in the next 2 weeks, which are not great matchups. We might see lower ceilings, and then good matchup against Vegas, a bye week, and a good matchup against Chicago, or excuse me, the Chargers, then Chicago, then Green Bay. So, he'll be fine. But no, I don't think you have the RB6, so I like Amon-Ra. I don't really care where he's ranking. You know what you get out of him, but no, I would say no. There's no way Jay Jettis doesn't come back. I think he'll be back, but yeah, there's a chance he doesn't, I guess. But I don't want to overreact. Like, there's some people out there just assuming like he's like Kirk Cousins is getting traded and Justin Jefferson is gone for the year, and he'll be on a different team, which all that could happen. I don't know. We'll probably have Pete on from After the Review Sports on Friday, who's a diehard Vikings fan, to get his takes. But he was kind of hinting at this potentially happening, not the injury, but JJ not being there next year and Kirk not being there next year. But it is a competitive division. The Lions are like the best team in the division. There's a chance, but I'm not going to overreact just yet. Do you trade for JJ or JT if you're 4-1 or 5-0? Yeah, absolutely. If so, would you give up Gibbs and Pierce for it? Yes. Yes, J-Dubs. J-Dubs, by the way, that week 5 weekly winners team that I had on Underdog won me $10. Dominic, I traded JJ and Rashad White. I got Tony Pollard and St. Brown. Did I win the trade? If probably, maybe. It's really hard to I think you got good value for the situation, but if JJ's back in 4 weeks and the team with JJ wins, and I just, it's hard to read what's going to happen in this situation at the moment. But I think you got pretty good value out of this trade for sure. I'd rather have Pollard than White right now. And if you're in a, you're going to be able to play St. Brown right now, well, if he's healthy, you know what I mean? But I think it's good value for the situation, but JJ's still involved on the other side. I was thinking Spears also. Can't believe I picked him off waivers a few weeks ago for free, but wanting to play him. Is Baltimore a good run defense? They are, but I still think he sees better volume than the rest of the players that you had listed. But yeah, Baltimore's still a good run defense for sure. DeMarcado's maybe the other option here, but if we get word that Ingram doesn't play, then maybe you can go DeMarcado just based on matchup and based on the fact that he doesn't have Derrick Henry in front of him. But yeah, I think you're okay with those two guys. I do think Spears is going to be a player that, while he doesn't have a high ceiling, he's a player we can throw in there. You know what I mean? If we need to. Are we buying low on Ramondre? Yeah, I guess maybe. It just depends on who you're giving up. It's a good point. He's still RB12. I just, like I was talking about, and I don't know, man. What I've got is he's RB26. So I don't know which rankings you're looking at. But yeah, I think my answer is no. It just depends on what you have to give up. He's still the RB1 on the Patriots. He's still the RB1 on a team. I guess Zeke is a guy who plays football still. I don't like this Patriots unit at all. We just talked about it. It depends on what you have to give up. Drew, Breece Hall, Debo, Ramondre, Hollywood, Chris Brown, start 3. What's up, Drew? I'd start Hollywood. I would start Debo, and I'd probably start Chris Godwin. It's an awful matchup for Hall, And I'm very, very much so off Ramondre Stevenson being in my starting lineup until we see something. Won $10 to at a random chase team. Nice. I thought I had a shot, man. I was close. I missed the best ball resurrection draft on Underdog. I only drafted 3 teams. Oh, I missed it too as well, apparently. Is it time to trade Alexander Madison? Roshan for Madison, JT for Madison. The guy in my league has both players. He's 0-5. I mean, if you can get JT, I think you do it. I wouldn't do Roshan personally because Foreman's still involved, and I guess Herbert will come back. Madison's proven his only thing. Like, you can sell Madison at a higher rate where Roshan's unproven. So you're still gamble there. You know what I mean? It could pay off. There's risk, but if you get JT, then yes. Drop Zay or Jameson for Roshan. Whoever you feel not as inclined to keep. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like I'd rather roster Zay Jones. But it's so hard because we don't have a good sample size out of Jameson. He only had 2 targets last week. I just feel like Zay Jones, when healthy, is at least like a guy we can throw in the flex and you know what to expect. Would you rather Ramondre or Najee rest of the season? Gosh, neither. Sorry. Najee has been worse than Ramondre this year, albeit he did not play in week 6 because of bye week. So, I mean, I hate both these players right now. I guess I would rather have Najee because my theme tonight is I hate the Patriots. Who won me in praise trade? JJ for Diop and Thielen. I mean, I think it's based on the situation. It's fine on both sides. I think it's a pretty fair trade. But it just depends. Like, if you're in a win now situation, then the D-Hop and Thielen trade or side wins. If you're in a situation where you're playing long term, then the JJ side is also fine. I think it's a fair trade based on the situation, but it also then like it's just so hard to read. This is why I don't like overreacting to 2 days of news. Is like like we had so many players or so many people like flipping Cup right away with the injury, and my advice was to hold on to Cup unless you were getting like a crazy offer that you couldn't give up, because what if Cup comes back after week 4 and looks fine? And that's exactly what happened, And what if JJ comes back in 4 weeks and it's just Justin Jefferson again? And I think it's fair if you need to win games like right now to save your season, but I would have held on to JJ personally. But like it's still a fair trade. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way I kind of viewed things is I would rather hold on to JJ. But like I said, I mean, Thielen's top 10 wide receiver. D-Hop's coming off a big game. So hopefully we still get that same volume out of D-Hop because it's been kind of inconsistent, 13 targets week 1, 11 in week 5. So hopefully that continues, but I don't know what to expect out of Tennessee. So it just, there's a lot to kind of break down there. You know what I mean? Yeah, Ramondre or Najee, I'm like, whatever. This could be a Gibbs game. Tampa Bay being pretty stout against the run. Could be. We'll see what happens. What would you think would be a fair trade to get Kelsey? What's up, Mr. Matt J. Kim? 3 and 2. My team is Tua, Hill, Waddle, Jacobs, Monty, Jones, Goddard, DK, Flowers, Gainwell, Hopkins, Dell, Sharps. Probably have to send Goddard. And I mean, you're looking okay at wide receiver. Maybe you throw Waddle in there. Start there and then see where the conversation takes you. That's probably not enough. You're probably going to add one more player, but just see where that takes you. Maybe try to diversify. As much as this Dolphins offense looks great, but you keep Tua, trying and move on from Waddle potentially. Thoughts on Roshan if he's good to go? I think he's a fine start this week. Like, not an incredibly high ceiling. I mean, like, we kind of think about the Vikings as just like an awful team defensively, but they're top. I mean, they're the 11th best team against opposing running backs. So, like, he's fine. But this Vikings defense is also fine. Would you rather start Ritter or Minshew? Ritter, because Washington sucks. Justin, I'm 2-3. Should I trade JJ for Swift and Eckler? That's fine. I mean, you're getting two stud running backs, two guys who have top 10, top 5 potential. I mean, yeah. Once again, like, if you guys trade away JJ and he's back in 4 weeks, he's on the field, he's going to be Justin Jefferson. You just have to live with the fact that you traded him away. You know what I mean? Like, and I say that all the time when you trade a high caliber player. It's like, if he still finishes top 5, you just have to remember that you traded him. But I mean, like, this is really good value. And if you're really hurting at running back and you still have other wide receivers that you can get, I think that's fine. You read that wrong. I'm giving JJ and Swift for Eckler. I mean, okay. I did read that wrong. Yeah, that kind of changes things. I was gonna say Swift and Eckler is like that's good. I wouldn't do it then. No, I'd let JJ ride your IR spot, and I'd keep Swift. I mean, like, Eckler's gonna be good. We all know that. He's probably gonna be top 5. Maybe probably still potentially on the season, but over the next couple of weeks playing as a top 5 back. But Swift's not that far behind him. I don't know. I just it depends on the rest of your roster, Justin, but I don't know if I do it. It's a lot of value to give up. Giving up the RB9 and Justin Jefferson for one player, Tommy, 2 and 3 need wide receiver help. Yeah, like I said, if you need to win games right now, I'm not against it. But, Thielen's been on fire. Does that keep going? It looks like it will. And then D-Hop, the volume's been really inconsistent. So I just the way I view things, like, it's still fine, but I would have held on to JJ personally. Saquon and Myers or Kamar and Flowers. Probably still Saquon side because I like Saquon a lot, but Kamar and Flowers not bad by any means. What's up, Taylor? Who can I trade Watson for? What type of wide receivers fall in his range? Not much. I mean, like, let's just be real. Like, it's if you needed to sell Watson, like, we haven't really had the opportunity to do so. Like, he's had a 10-point game and an 11-point game. He's had 5 receptions this year. So he has a touchdown in one game and 90 receiving yards in the other game. So you want to wait, like week 8, he plays Minnesota. Like, you want to wait till he has that game where he scores 20, 25, 30 points and then sell him, because then you can kind of have your pick of who you want to sell him for. You know what I mean? Right now, like, whoever you're selling him to has the advantage of just saying, like, his ceiling is super low. Like, I don't care about last year. Right now, his ceiling is super low. So would you rather start Wilson or Debo? I really like Wilson's matchup this week, but probably Debo. I'm a home. Should I drop Love for Rice? Yeah, Stober, you don't need 2 quarterbacks unless you're in a super flex or double quarterback league. If you have Mahomes, that is. Stream someone on his bye week. You have Mahomes. We're selling Kenneth Walker high. No, standing by my off-season call on Kenneth Walker. And I think Kenneth Walker is going to continue to have a very productive season as long as he's healthy. I would not sell him unless you get the right. I mean, you can always sell anyone if you get the right value. But would you trade St. Brown for Olave and Chiron? I'd consider it for sure. For sure. That's a pretty decent trade. Thoughts on Marvin Mims or Quentin Johnston? I'd rather pick up Quentin Johnston. I mean, he's the upside play. You know what I mean? Like, we know this offense and the fact that they're going to throw it. Well, Marvin Mims has been productive, but it's just hard to say like exactly what we get out of him on a weekly basis. Quinn Johnson has the upside. I think I'd pick him up. If Johnny Smith is out, would you play Pitts over Ferguson? I'd probably go Ferguson. I think the Cowboys will bounce back this week. I'm not ready to trust Pitts yet unless you have no other choice. Yeah, I still think Walker will be fine, but I mean, it's fair. Sharp snaps are always going to go up, but I'm fine with Kenny. Thinking of trading Walker and Charles for Herbert and Puka. Lost JJ, have T-Law QB, 2 flex PPR. For Khalil Herbert, I mean, I guess Herbert versus Charbs is fair. Puka versus Walker is fair. I really still think Walker is worth holding here, though. It just depends on what other wide receivers you have. Thoughts on a way to prove my wide receivers triple flex league? Olave, Addison, Higgins, Mike Wilson. Running backs are Bijan, Etienne, Cook. Tight ends Komet, have McLaughlin, Akers, Ingram. I mean, Olave, Addison, Higgins, Mike Wilson. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you don't really have anyone to sell. Like, there's no one on your bench. Like, you just have backup running backs, Alex. So, the only thing you can really do here is make a power move and move on your running backs. I mean, Etienne's coming off a big game. Bijan's still Bijan. Cook's going to have a big game this week. I think at least a great matchup. You might have to sell high on one of those running backs. It's really all you can do. You can't trade anyone on your bench. I mean, even if you package, like, we're going to package Akers and Higgins, like, you're not going to get that much there. So I think that's about all you can do. What defense would you and Steven go with, Philly or Minnesota? I go Philly for sure. Minnesota is still not a great defense, even if they're playing the Bears, who haven't looked bad the last 2 weeks. Tony, who would you start my 3 wide receiver spots? Pittman, Cooper, Thomas, Addison, Metcalf. Pittman, Metcalf, Addison. If Watson plays, you can go Cooper over one of those guys. Yeah, I'm still standing by my love for Kenneth Walker. I'm going to be stubborn, J-Dubs. Saquon and Wilson for Fields and Jay Jettis. I have Richardson, 14-man. I'm third at 8-2. If you're 8-2 in a 14-man, I just keep your team as is. Hard to be third place in a 14-team league. So, this is a lot. Like, you're gaining a quarterback, losing a running back, and wide receiver. It really depends on your roster. All right, so this was Justin Herbert. I mean, yeah, you can do that trade if you're getting Jay Herbs, but then what you need to do is you need to turn around and trade Trevor Lawrence for a running back to replace Walker. It doesn't have to be a guy of Walker's caliber, but just to get depth back. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can do that. Okay, we got this one. Access. I picked up Democrat over waivers. Do you think it'll be RB1 for the Cards or will it be Ingram? I mean, I don't really know. I think that, in my opinion, DeMarcado looks like he should be, but we'll see if Ingram gets involved. I mean, then it could be a committee as well. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough call. I think DeMarcado's was worth the waiver wire pick and worth holding on to. But it's hard to say if he's going to be the lead back or not with Ingram back in the mix. So, until we really see Sunday's action, I don't think that we'll have an answer. But I do like DeMarcado between the two. Should I consider buying low on Mixon? Yeah, I think he's a good buy low for sure. Have Richardson. Should I pick up Deshaun, Stafford, or Purdy? Purdy, baby. Get a good floor every week, and that ceiling's always there. Stafford's okay too. Bryce, Wilson, Cooper, Waddle, Pittman, DK start 3. I mean, I really like Garrett Wilson's matchup this week. I won't be surprised if he goes off. But Pittman, Waddle, and DK. So JT for Ridley. I mean, it's a fair trade for sure. Just depends. Do you need a running back or wide receiver? Thoughts on packaging something like Cook and McLaughlin to an RB needy player for Amon-Ra? Have a guy in my league who their best starting running back on their team this week is Algier because Jones on bye. Yeah, try it. But Cook's gonna have a good week this week, so just keep in mind. You can probably sell Cook at a higher rate after this matchup against the Giants, but if you can trade Cook and McLaughlin for Amon-Ra, you should do it. Maddie, hello. Should I start Kamara or Chiron? Probably Kamara because he plays the Texans, but you can't really go wrong with Chiron. A great matchup too. I mean, both are great. Geez, I don't know. I love both these guys this week. Kamara's on the road, if that matters, and Chiron is at home. So maybe Chiron, but both are seriously great. What's up, Loza? What sort of package should I be looking for trading off Purdy, Henry, and Davis, full PPR super flex, and have Herbert Mahomes trying to attempt an Olave and St. Brown owner? Yeah. I mean, you're still trading a guy like Derrick Henry who has great name value, still been okay this year. Gabe Davis has been great, an awesome flex play. Use that to your advantage. And Purdy, great floor, and the ceiling is always there on a weekly basis. So, yeah, you should be going out and getting a stud-like player, St. Brown or Olave, or a good type of caliber player. But also, if you're trading 3 players, especially in a super flex league, get 2 players back, Olave and St. Brown. So I don't know if you're going for one or the other or both, but high caliber players here, and try and get more than one player back. Who would you start, Pittman or London? Pittman, but London is a sneaky start this week. A very good matchup against Washington, but I'm probably sticking with Pittman. But if you're a Drake London owner, decent game last week, I think you could have another good game this week. We're trading Gibbs and London for Mixon. Sure. Yeah, I think at this point you can. Yeah, but London, as you're saying, is picking up a little bit. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, made it to the bottom of the chat. I do unfortunately have some work I have to finish up for the night, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and end the stream. We hit an hour, a little bit over an hour, so that's what I wanted to do for the night. But let's see here. Must start defenses, must start kickers are out for the week. Waiver wire ads, probably not important anymore, but those are out for the week. I'm behind on everything this week. So I'm just glad I was able to get on and stream tonight. Talk to you guys. Hopefully help you guys out a bit tonight. And yeah, so that'll do it for the night. If you guys are new to the channel, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, enjoyed the content. I appreciate you guys being here. And other than that, man, if you guys need anything, make sure to hop on Discord. Great community feedback on Discord. Thank you to all you guys on our Discord channel who've been interacting with each other, helping each other out while I've been just extremely busy. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up here. Olave or Garrett? I'll give Olave one more shot, but Garrett Wilson has a really good matchup, Dara, if you like him more. Would you drop Moody? No, he's just in a matchup where he didn't need to kick field goals. Like, they were just steamrolling the Cowboys. So, I mean, it depends on who else is out there, but Stevens must start kickers are out for the week. If you want to go check that out, there are some good options, but Moody will be fine. They didn't need to kick field goals last week. You know what I mean? All right, guys, do me a favor. Do all that YouTube stuff on the way out. Hit the like, subscribe. Check out the links down below. Instagram, Discord, all down below. And that'll go ahead and wrap it up for the night. So thank you guys so much for the fantasy questions. It was great to talk to you guys tonight and get caught back up with you guys a little bit. I know I haven't been able to stream yet this week. So thank you guys for just all your support to the channel and to the community. And that'll wrap it up. London or Addison? I'll go Addison against the Bears, Tony. All right, man. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the catch, fam. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, yes, Odd here on the catch. And peace.